When things seem hopeless, a bright light appears and blows the cockatrices away. Everyone's so relieved, thinking Hansel has come to save them. But when the smoke clears, it's not Hansel. It's their former leader, Lord Nim. Everyone's shocked to see him. Meanwhile, Hansel lands on the ground nearby, but he's in the wrong place. Lord Nim looks confident, surrounded by cockatrices. Blog and Hennard are impressed with Lord Nim's attack. A goody builder nearby tells them to watch their leader. Lord Nim starts teasing the monsters, asking if they really thought he'd come without a plan. The goody builders are thrilled and start cheering for their leader. Lord Nim praises Hansel and shouts for him to come save them all. The monsters are focused on Lord Nim now. Everyone waits with bated breath, but Hansel doesn't show up. Lord Nim falls to his knees, praying and crying for Hansel to come. A while ago, he left his hut in the ghoul village to find food and check on his fellow builders who went hunting. He thought there was no danger, but he was wrong. His fellow ghouls were in trouble, facing something dangerous. As Lord Nim hears the screams of his subordinates, he realizes he needs to help his subordinates. He angrily picks up a big rock and throws it towards the place with full force and then increases the force even more. Midway with his skill, the Lord Ghoul wasn't a bodybuilder like others and didn't even train. He just had this special skill called Heavy Blunt that increased the load of the objects he targeted at. And this skill was enhanced to a maximum, where Hansel used to ask him to keep increasing the loads for their weightlifting. The other goody builders encourage him to keep on fighting since he beat them just about now, and maybe he's just been underestimating his power. While he's actually as strong as Hansel, the stupid ghoul actually gets convinced that thinking how it's definitely not easy to beat any such big monster, and he is so right now. So he hits a boost of confidence and faces the monster chickens, only to get thrown far away by the monsters. Everyone is sure of being doomed after this, so all the dramatic ones come up with emotional lines for their friends, like Blog telling Lipa and Hennard of not getting the jokes while they weren't ever cracking jokes, and seriously mock him, while the goody builders also emotionally decide to fight till their last muscle cell, and gratitude of Hansel for teaching them all this. On the other hand, luckily the Ghoul Lord was thrown far enough to actually end up right where Hansel was, so Hansel just looks at the ghoul lying in front of him. The Lord then chokes out words to Hansel, begging him to save them all. This angers Hansel. His calm, his skill keeps activating and deactivating at this thought, as the ghouls reach the cockatrice to fight them with all their might. All those monsters cross them and keep running in direction behind them. Everyone is confused at what just happened while the monsters reach Hansel, whose calm this skill is activated, while the veins on his body are almost popping out of everywhere. In order to try and remain patient, he addresses the raged monsters in a scary tone to stop, as he's calmer than ever, while his calmness skill surpasses such a limit that it will be cancelled for a day. The three humans run towards the direction where the cockatrice went, since they all feel a certain vibration in their chests that hint them about it being Hansel's blood. While carrying a tired Lipa, Blog questions who Hansel is, as to which the builder tells him he's their master and leader, with the most sensitive muscle tissue. Blog seems to be wanting more explanation, but he's told by the goody builder to tag along and witness it with his own eyes. Another goody builder interrupts, asking his fellow to be nice and summarize it for them. So Blog is now told of the great deal of admiration in the ghoul's tone that Hansel is their new ghoul leader. Of course, Blog still can't get anything out of it. A pissed-off Hansel is surrounded by raging cockatrices. When one tries to attack it, it's thrown far away by his one-armed dumbbell press. The two other big chickens who thought they can counter are thrown away in the exact same fashion. Some other monsters then attack Hansel collectively by pressing their feet on him together. Hansel endures it for some time, then pushes through the paws of the dragon chickens, aiming a flying lunge right at the face of one of the cockatrices. He stands on top of one of the dead cockatrices in extreme fury, questioning the idea that if he can make their chest muscles grow using his chest muscles, then can they do that for him too? He goes into his CrossFit mode and increases the muscle size and strength of his upper body while digging his hands inside the ground. He then lifts his hands up furiously, once having enough strength, and successfully throws off multiple cockatrices at the same time. He then rips a tree off the ground and starts jumping squats using it, only the jumps and weight involved being coppertraces. His ground, and then he uses his cable triceps extension to throw the tree in his hand with a great amount of force on a cockatrice. The goody builders halt at seeing multiple bodies of the monsters that were a danger to them just a while back, while Blog, Hennard and Lipa are stunned at the sight in front of them, finally witnessing the Ghoul Lord. All these ghouls are so obsessed with getting stronger. On the other hand, Hansel realizes he used too much leg strength to get here. He's low on energy and can't keep this up for long, but he can't stop. He doesn't want to disappoint their old lord who trained him and the other goody builders. Hansel knows he needs to finish this in one go, so he starts working on his upper body muscles, doing bench presses. But the more muscles he builds, the harder it gets for his tired legs. Warnings appear, saying he might hurt his muscles. The chicken-like monsters are coming closer, but Hansel stands his ground. He's ready to face them, even if it hurts. Then, a surprising thing happens. The other goody builders join him, touching each other's backs. It's like a chain reaction, making them all stronger. They support Hansel, calling it an extra set. He feels a positive boost and gathers all his strength for a final attack. He defeats the monsters, but everyone is exhausted, lying on the ground. Hansel and the builders think about their old lord, who they lost in this fight. They talk about how their lord became nicer and less violent, even helping in this battle. Hansel asks for help standing up, but the others ignore him, walking away. Hansel gets frustrated and starts scolding them. Suddenly someone thanks Hansel for his hard work. They all turn and see their old lord, healthy and fine. He had just been taking a nap. Hansel and the builders smile and hug their lord, making him uncomfortable. They're happy he's okay and ask him to keep looking after them. Hennard and Lipa tell their master, Lord Count Wardo, about what happened. But Lord Wardo sees Hansel as a danger, worried he might turn evil. They decide they need to handle Hansel properly. Their master, however, is more focused on the missing blonde from the team they sent. Lipa and Hennard dramatically get teary-eyed at the mention of their friend, Blog. After the chaotic fight, Hansel seemed to be wandering around Blog in a rather creepy way while admiring his body and posture. The other two get frantic at Blog being in potential danger. Hansel pays them no heed and casually asks if Blog wishes to get stronger than now. Hansel easily holds the sword coming at him from behind and still asks, unbothered, if Blog wants to exercise with him. Of course, this tempted the poor Blog, who readily agreed. Lipa and Hennard narrate the story while wiping their tears, wanting their friend to be saved from whatever Hansel meant by taking him. Wardo simply declines help in this case, not wanting to risk anything for one person, but their master is furious at the thought of her student being taken away. She aggressively asks the other two to follow him so they can go save their innocent Blog. Poor Lord Wardo just stands in the empty room, still looking for the moment to stop her. In the Bull Village, Hansel introduces the newcomer and offers starting with squats to help Blog settle. Blog has no idea what squats are or has a hard time understanding it, but Hansel properly guides him on how to do squats. Even though painful, he ends up doing it right. All the goody builders clap and support, encouraging their new training fellow. Hansel also appreciates him for doing well for the first time, then asks him to keep doing it and puts a barbell in his hands. Blog has a hard time but still balances himself and pressing Hansel to no end. Hansel starts praising Blog, telling him he can become much stronger in his own way, and even protect his friends with his strength. Blog gets overwhelmed after being appreciated for the first time and starts crying. Hansel chuckles, telling him to relax. After correctly identifying Blog's potential, Hansel's Hawkeye skill upgrades from level 2 to level 3. The ghouls question Hansel on bringing all the little cockatrices with him. He tells them they can't be reckless while hunting or they'll get endangered. Hence, they should prevent any kind of extinction. The former lord agrees, but shows concern about the cubs being little and weak right now. But when they evolve, only Hansel will be able to beat them. This strikes a nerve in Hansel, who questions the former lord if he can't beat them in a very threatening tone. This makes him reconsider, and Hansel tells him to stop underestimating their beings. In the training ground, Hansel guides all the goody builders in their training, while the former lord supervises Blog. He increases the force of the barbell held by Blog as he tries to lift it, but before they can see the outcome of it, an intrusion throws all of them off the ground. The former master of Blog appears and faces the former lord, who was with Blog. She questions if he's the one who stole her student, but the innocent lord is confused. He tries to clear up that he doesn't know who she is, or not even being the chief of the village anymore. The arrogant woman decides to try to kill the vulnerable lord, just because he didn't answer her with a yes or no. But of course Hansel does not let this slide easily. He blocks her attack easily with his arm, and saves his former lord, questioning her motive. Since they are only peacefully exercising in their village, noticing how he blocked her sword, she understands that it's him her students have been talking about, while Lipa and Hennard confirm this from behind, simultaneously exclaiming for Blog to come back to them as they are there to save him. The master simply faces Hansel for stealing her student, while Hansel is surprised and turns to Blog questioning why he didn't tell him that he already had a master. This caused confusion. Blog stutters at forming an answer, making Hansel smile and ask if it's because he is more interested in exercising than swordsmanship. Hansel gets cocky and asks Blog to stop hesitating and say it if it's true. Blog finally manages to apologize to his former master since he does not feel interested in swordplay anymore. The arrogant woman decides to forcefully extract blood, but Hansel steps in, once again parrying her sword with his body. This time he strikes a powerful pose, flexing his muscles to defend against the attack. The woman's pride takes a hit as her strike merely leaves a scratch on Hansel. Frustrated, she proposes a truce, suggesting that they settle their dispute through combat. The winner would gain Blog as their student, proving their martial arts superiority. Hansel attempts to clarify that exercise and building muscle are not the same as martial arts. He explains that he only resorted to killing creatures for sustenance. Dismissing his explanation, she belittles the idea of exercise being useful in combat, labeling it as worthless and calling Hansel's efforts trash. Her taunts strike a nerve, igniting Hansel's anger. Determined to teach her a lesson, he activates his cock's leg mode, preparing to confront her. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.